10 miles on his bike.
We might not have very big audience because there's 2 people watching.
Ooh.
Yay! Just because
Might be able to hear you, so hold on.
oh, that's okay. We're on there. Yay! I was just saying we might not have a lot of people watching because it's the holiday weekend.
I know a lot of people have taken off.
Look at those young beauties. We were there once, ladies.
Right.
Oh, a stretch. We are on the air.
Isn't it bizarre? It's like that was once us, and now we're
Yes. But look at how
on the other side of the.
We're on the other side of the hill, gliding.
No, that's right.
Gliding.
Okay.
19
I
seconds.
need a better picture. That's a bad crop job.
What did you do to your thumb hand, Michelle?
Oh, it's just kind of a constant thing, but I've been. Oops.
I know we're on. They can hear us. They're eavesdropping now. We're coming. Woo.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
welcome to our show on Almost the Holiday.
Right.
Today we 3 are going to be talking a little bit more about Disability Pride Month, what that means and what it involves. And we'd love to hear from you. Fist bump, Ben. We'd love to hear from you on what you think it means, and especially now in this time, it's a crazy time. People have things to say, including us.
Absolutely.
So if Bobby will put up our sponsors, I'll do a quick intro of our sponsors. Then we can all introduce ourselves. There we are. Mobility professionals and urology professionals continue to sponsor our shows here at Live to Roll, and they are the best. They're informed. They are also in the community, and so you need any kind of mobility product, any kind of urological problem, call them. They're on our side.
Absolutely.
I'm Julienne Dallara. I am a T12 para from transverse myelitis, going on 30 years. And so I'm here with 2 of my very good friends. Over to you, Michele.
Hi, I'm Michele Altamirano, and I'm glad to be here and glad that you are here with us today. I am 36 years post-injury. I have a C6-7 level injury, and I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Ellen Stohl. I am the old lady of the group because I've been in the chair 43 years. I got years on y'all.
Woo!
Woohoo! I am a incomplete C5678T1 incomplete quadriplegic. I've been using a manual wheelchair for 43 years now, and now I use it with a power assist, but still rolling along and enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Just Ellen, why don't you kick it off with what you found in all of your research?
Well, Disability Pride, I mean, one of the greatest things, and if y'all get a chance to look at it, I would look at Easter Seal's new Disability is Not a Dirty Word campaign because it's pretty amazing. Now, Easter Seals has been around for longer than, the dinosaurs, but they have evolved. They have very evolved from a more charity-based organization, oh, look at these poor people, give us money to help them, to a very positive, powerful identity. And this new campaign is really about, positive disability identity, really being proud of who you are, not trying to mask or hide your disability, understanding that disability is a social construct that everyone is going to experience at some time in your life. Like basically you're born disabled. I mean, babies can't do shit for themselves, right? Yeah, and as you age, whether you have a significant impairment or a mild impairment, aging in and of itself is going to create disabling situations. Yeah, so how do we be proud of who we are authentically, not trying to mask it to who I can do everything, right? Just to be honest, and then to ask for and advocate for the access we deserve. And I don't say that we need the access and the accommodations that we deserve to optimize our success and function. And I think it's really hard in a society that demeans people who are different, that has a very ableist, embedded systemic idea about what is normal normal, what is good, and how people are supposed to be. And unfortunately, as Julienne pointed out, sometimes that comes from the leaders and the policies and the programs that, sort of shift and make people who are different or who have different needs feel like they need to apologize or that they don't deserve what they get. So for me, pride is authentically realizing who you are, where you are, what do you need to get what you want, and to recognize you deserve that because you are a person.
Absolutely. So. And as they say, disability rights are human rights.
Yes.
And we deserve just as much as the next person, to have our freedom and to be able to participate and be part of society like everyone else and not, put aside or anything like that, be marginalized. I think people just misunderstand the concept of disability pride. No one chooses to be disabled. In all my years, I haven't heard anybody say, "Ooh, I wanted to be in a wheelchair." Shit happens. People are born with congenital disabilities, which by no fault of theirs, and accidents happen. And I know in the beginning it's like, it's terrifying, and you're like, "There's no way I want to be considered in that particular community," and all of that. But once you kind of, realize, okay, this is it for a while, you learn to have confidence and learn to come out and accept and be who you are in spite of your disability. You see, the pride is not in having the disability. The pride comes from being a successful, independent person in this world who can function and live and have fun and everything in spite of our disabilities. We're not letting our disability define us. We are redefining ourselves with a disability.
And what I found pretty early on is that because I learned to use the fact that I was in a wheelchair for my own benefit. I remember when I got a job selling vans and went to the Abilities Expo, was in the booth with all these other able-bodied salespeople. Well, the people who wanted to buy vans came straight over to me because they'd much rather deal with somebody in a wheelchair. And I was like,
who might know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, there's an advantage here. And it became a lot of my positive identity was around being in a wheelchair. My friends, there's that camaraderie of knowing we have been through and are going through similar things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the nice things about coming into the Abilities Expo, where the people, the able bodies, are the exception rather than the rule.
Absolutely.
So when people are newly injured and they are embarrassed to be seen out in their wheelchair, I hope that goes away pretty soon because it did for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I would, hey, Velma, yeah, it's hot. It's not as hot as it was on the East Coast, and these last few days have been pretty nice. Shout out to Nicole. Hello, Nicole, and Leon, and Ben. I think, from having been teaching disability studies now for 6 years, everybody, there is it's not a separate group, right? Like the disabled are not separate from everybody else because, again, I'm just going to say it. Everybody has something, some sort of impairment, and if society is not accommodating, so disability is a social construct that means the environment is creating it, whether it's attitudes or physical barriers. That's where the creation of disability comes from. And you don't even have to have a physical, psychological, emotional impairment to experience disability. If you are a young Black male in a predominantly white area of town, you will experience disability. You will not be able to achieve your activities of daily living without fear of being arrested, shot, whatever. So you experience disability. So I feel like the pride is about we live more authentically and more fully and more out in the open because we acknowledge the diversity of our bodies, of our minds, of our emotions. And we don't apologize for them, right? I mean,
absolutely.
we don't. This is like everybody is going to deal with something, and if we focused on the diversity of humanity instead of this one little idealized non-existent, there is, like, you see these models and actresses that come out and they seem like perfect, have the perfect life, and then you find out they've been masking depression, anxiety, eating disorders. They're dealing with their own
drug abuse,
impairments, right? Drug abuse, right?
Things.
So there is no perfect state of being except being comfortable with who you are, and and being, authentic about that. And I think that takes, it takes a lot of years, because immediately when you acquire or are born with if you're born with a disability, you don't realize you're different until you get out in the world. And then the world's like, oh, right? Like, this is who you are. It's the world. It's the social messages that we get from this incredibly ableist, biased society. I mean, ableism is so embedded in every structure that somehow, if you don't walk, talk, speak, feel, look like this, then you're somehow less than. And that's just such a bullshit thing. And I think that once you realize there is no normal, no perfect way to be, it's actually freeing, because like, I don't have to be that.
And I think we don't have to apologize for being who we are. I think in the beginning, you're in a big room, you're in a crowd, you're in a place where you feel you aren't as comfortable. You feel maybe that you don't belong. And if people are trying to get through, I know people will often, I'm sorry, always constantly trying to excuse themselves for being there. And you have every right to be in that room as everyone else is there. You don't have to move to make room for them. They can walk around you. You don't have to sit in the corner so you feel like you're not just out there, being intrusive and all of that. You are who you are, and you have every right to be yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like what Derek said in the notes, that it's impossible to offend him because he refuses to give somebody that power, which is absolutely true, right? Good for you, Derek. Yeah. It's the way to go. I had somebody ask me one time when it was Disability Pride Month, so are you proud to be disabled? I went, not really the point.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
What this is about. But it did make me pause. I mean, I'm not proud.
Yeah, right.
I'm proud of who I am, and this just happens to be the state of my body, right? And I think we need to celebrate that. I mean, there's, disabled people pretty much change the world. And right now, I was reading somewhere about they're actually seeking out neurodiversities, right, for specific jobs because of the I am proud to be who I am, and if that now has I wouldn't go back and not have my accident. Like, maybe if they had a pill I could take and I could walk tomorrow with no anything, sure. Kirk Kilgore, that would make my life easier, but it doesn't necessarily mean it would make my life better. Like, easy doesn't necessarily make life better, and I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have my daughter. I wouldn't have if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, I wouldn't be this person. So would I risk that so that I could be some vapid head, superstar, and like you said, Julienne, maybe there'd be drugs, I'm like, we don't know. And I think the fact that, Bobby, if you've got the pictures, some of the comments. So Governor Newsom, whether you like him, don't like him or not, did a post about like, it's Disability Pride Month. We in California appreciate and respect all diverse peoples and their communities and their contributions to our society. And then, you get comments to that like this, right? Like, I'm sick of this crap. It never ends. Give me a freaking break. This is getting ridiculous, right? Talking about celebrating disability pride. And, let's celebrate Obesity Month. Let's, and so like these negative comments are why people don't want to come out. Why, like you said, Michele, why people apologize is because people have these attitudes about disability, fears, right?
Absolutely.
It's a ridiculous thing to have Disability Pride Month. What does pride have to do with children with disabilities? Like, okay, these people can't even understand that there's pride, LGBTQIA pride, and disability pride, which has to do with being proud of, the contributions that people with disabilities have made to this society.
Absolutely.
I mean, people will say that they think Einstein was on the spectrum, right? Like many geniuses have neurodiverse functioning. We wouldn't have innovations if there wasn't disability, right? Like better treatments, better ideas of how to help everybody function more effectively.
Better technology and medical science and everything that's, trying to help us be well and to be able to pursue whatever dreams we have and whatever we want to do.
Right. Yes, Leon, I agree. They're probably just unhappy people. But when you become a new injury or when you've been born with an impairment and you come out in the world and people are throwing these negative things at you constantly, it's hard to develop that thick skin. I mean, it's awesome that you can develop it, but it takes a while of being bombarded with that bullshit to develop that thick skin. And some people, are more sensitive and so they try. So I mean, especially even in the disability community, there's a hierarchy. How much do you need? How much do you really ask for? How much can you mask? Oh, I'm a super gimp. I can do all of this, right? That I know a lot of us out there like doing more, being better, being stronger, being this to prove that this is not keeping us down, as opposed to being honest about, you know what? I can't do this today. I need support, right? Yeah. I need my in-home supportive service workers. Right? People are like, but you do so much. Yeah, I couldn't do that if I didn't have people helping me clean my house, helping me transfer so I don't fall and break my leg, right? I need those supports to be successful. Absolutely. And when and so I'm not gonna apologize for needing those supports.
No, not at all. Absolutely.
It's interesting, if you've paid any attention to what's happening in the schools with separating the kids out, the special needs kids. It's gotten, I mean, there was no such thing when I was in elementary school. When my kids were in elementary school, maybe a little bit, but I have a friend who's teaches special needs. She's a parent aide for special needs in elementary school, and I'm learning a lot. It's really, for better or for worse, it is putting kids in boxes. You are this box. And they have a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something like that. If your needs are here, you're 1, 2, 3 or blah, blah, blah. And I think it has to do partially with how medically fragile you are and also what your emotional and behavioral issues are. But I wonder, coming from the 70s as I do, what the categorization is doing to kids being put in boxes.
Well, I mean, I think all of society wants to put people in boxes and see how they can either stuff a hoy behind our doors or in nursing homes or keep us limited by reducing supports. But Mickie, sorry you're still in bed hell. Welcome, Angry Quad. And Mickie, yes, if you look at New Mobility, they discuss a new wheelchair-friendly dishwasher. It kind of rolls out so you can get to the back part of so that the bottom rack sort of comes and
swing out.
Swing out rack, so you can get to the bottom of it. So I don't know. I always feel like you can go to the side of the dishwasher to get. Dishwashers haven't been that really inaccessible to me. It's the fridges. Like I need pull-out shelves that come down on the fridge, and if you get one that's ADA, if you get an ADA fridge, you don't have room for anything but 2 gallons of milk because they're they're so narrow, shallow. So, but yeah, I mean, the spasms because people stare at you, and mainly, Leon, I think that's like people don't know, right? Because people go out and mask, right? We don't just say, "Oh, yeah, my leg's spasming," right? That's, it is embarrassing, but can we, yes, Bobby is doing a great job, Nicole, behind the scenes. He's out there. We were just saying that Bobby looks like he's perennially in his 20s, always, out doing everything. And, but just, I don't know. There he is. You still look like you're 20. You just got, your hair's just little, like you platinumed it like Billy Idol. Like it's a purposeful thing. That's why it's white. Yeah.
I found a picture of him recently from the Wings fashion show that I texted to him when he really was like 19 or something like that. I'll have to send it to the show one of these times.
Yeah.
He was our model.
He was a model. We did that show. I modeled with my daughter on that show. We loved the fashion shows. Yeah, I mean, there's just, I think to me, I'm just frustrated with the lack of understanding and the patronization that you get if you go out. That if you look like you're having a bad day, people like lose their shit. Like I've been pushing a lot. Like I'm pushing my power assist chair without power so I can be stronger. And I'm bending and stretching, and people like freak out. Are you okay? Like they pull over, and I'm like,
Yeah.
You know, I saw a guy today who's a runner laying in the grass doing sit-ups. Nobody's pulling over to see if he's okay, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I get that you're worried, and that's really nice, but even when I say, no, I'm good, I'm just stretching, they sit and watch me for 5 minutes to make sure I'm not lying about it, right? Oh, she's really gonna fall over. I'm like, yeah, it's just that idea that somehow we are less than other people. We are less valuable. We deserve less supports. And that makes it sometimes hard to have that disability pride, like, you know, because people pat you on the head, talk to who you're with. I don't know if y'all had that before.
I have the opposite experience depending on where I'm traveling. In New Jersey, I was grocery shopping all by myself, and there were no curb cuts, and I wasn't prepared that they don't give you bags in New Jersey. So all of a sudden, I'm carrying stuff on my lap before I got a lap stacker, and nobody would help me. They were just standing there staring.
Wow. Looking at you. I know, that's crazy.
The Chicago airport, I was struggling with a cart that was in my way. There was like maybe 3 feet away from me staring at me. I turned to her, I went, "Can you help me with this?"
Yeah, right.
Looked at me. So I would rather have somebody not pat me on the head, but I'd rather have somebody offer to help than go
Sometimes
through
it's
that.
one extreme or the other. They're overly helpful, or they completely ignore you and just look at you while you're struggling. And I know that we do that with each other, those of us who are disabled, because, okay, I know that if Ellen needs help, she's going to ask, right? She's doing something. But if, you know, if it's somebody else, you know, they run and practically take whatever it is you're trying to pick up or whatever it is, you know, like to help you. It's like, you know, it's gonna take me a minute, but I can do it, you know. And
I love people to ask. Always ask. If I see, you know, if I go to a door first and there's a person carrying 2 bags of stuff, I will say, "Hey, you want me to grab that for you?" And I'll grab it for them. Like, just respect if I say no, right? When I say, "Yeah, I'm fine," don't sit there and watch me for 5 minutes and doubt that I know if I'm fine or not. Like, maybe she doesn't know. I'm like, and even if I do need help and I say no, then that's the consequences on me. And next time somebody asks, I'll say yes.
I think people have preconceived notions of what it is to have a disability. I think they just kind of want to lump us all in one group and we're all the same. And regardless of whether you use a wheelchair or not, you know, maybe you don't, you know, you can't think for yourself. You can't speak for yourself, you know, so they ask the person standing next to you or whatever, or just assume that you just are physically unable, mentally unable, cognitively unable. And wow, that's far from the truth, you know.
Have you guys had that experience very much? Because I haven't. In 30 years, I can maybe count 3 times when somebody talked to the person I was with rather than me.
Oh, no, I've had it happen a great deal. I mean, even when I was out doing celebrity crap, people would be, "It's so sad. She's such a pretty girl." While I'm sitting right there. Like, really?
Right? Yeah. Oh, I know. They talk about,
you know, I mean, you know, and when I was with my ex, we'd go to dinner, and what would she like? I mean, they still ask my daughter sometimes. I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I like, and what he likes, and what she likes. And I pretty much, I am the one that runs the show for all of these folks here. Just because they're walking doesn't mean they know what the hell they're doing. Trust me, I'm the one. And Nicole, you make a really good point. We need more empathy, not sympathy. And empathy translates into creating curb cuts, right? Looking ahead and not stepping on, you know, staring at, but empathizing that this world is not built for most people with mobility impairments. It's just freaking not. Even places that say they are designed for mobility impairments are not. So, let's have some empathy in the fact of action. So even Newsom, right? Like we just won this $200,000 asset. So people who are on Medi-Cal, could have more than $2,000 worth of assets, including their home and their car and whatever. And he wants to turn that around again, right? Like, oh, well, we got to find ways to cut people off.
No.
Right? So simply because you need support to go out and live fully, we'd rather just give you support and keep you in the home so you don't ask for more accommodations.
More things. Exactly.
Because any accommodation you make for one group of people generally benefits everybody. Right?
Absolutely.
So let's just start with an inclusive idea that everybody benefits from universal design. Everybody benefits from captions, right? Whether you're deaf or hard of hearing, but if you're an English language learner, it helps. If you're listening to a British frickin' show, it helps to understand what they're saying. So those captions help everybody, and they're optional. You don't have to use them. You can step off the curb. You don't have to use the curb cut, but if there is no curb cut, you're screwed.
And you need it, exactly.
You do, for baby strollers, for wheelie backpacks, for skateboarders, bicyclists, and people in wheelchairs, people on walkers. Like, so this idea that somehow being accommodating is for those people, it's not. It's for everybody. And that's where the pride comes in. Like, be proud. Acknowledge that you don't want high bar tables everywhere, right? You want some low tables because it's not just for people in wheelchairs, people with knee problems, older people that don't like to sit up that high. Like, I don't know. Me and the Angry Quad could probably get together and, really, I just am so sick of the bullshit about it. And I also don't appreciate the over inspiration about how fucking amazing I am for buying groceries in a grocery store, or getting in and out of my car, or being able to order my own food. Like, that's just what people do. We just are who we are. And that's, I think, where the pride comes from. But often I think disability pride is often wrapped up in that sympathy of, oh, isn't that those people? Because we're still othered as opposed to be seeing as part of the group. And it's that othering that we have to erase.
So do you think that's true for, like, Black pride, gay pride, the blue pride, that it creates an other society? Because that one guy's point about kind of like putting down disability pride, like what's next, obesity pride, I kind of see the point of we constantly have this section's pride, then this section's pride, separating everybody. Why can't we just be proud of everybody?
Well, that would be great. Diversity, if we all had equitable opportunities, we all came in with the same cultural capital, and we didn't have to fight for every piece of equity that we want to have. And so I think that what happens is groups that have been marginalized and seen that less than are trying to bring awareness and to create that inclusion. In an ideal society, there would be no disability pride. There would be no Black pride. There would be people and their accomplishments. But unfortunately, we live in a society that separates and creates barriers for marginalized populations constantly.
Exactly.
And the only way to get the accommodations that you need is to get labeled, right? And then that label can put you in a box that then you have to try to say, but I'm proud of who I am. This box doesn't define me, but without this box, I don't get the supports I need. Yeah. It's not, if you just grew up where people truly were given the same opportunities and equality, and, we wouldn't have to identify groups as being different, because we would be the human race, right? Human beings. But unfortunately, the systems are designed for a specific type of person, and the other people are fighting for equitable footing to make it. And so, it's always, and then what if you're part of two groups? Because that happens a lot for intersectional identities, right? Like, if you're with the LGBT group, you can talk about your LGBTQ issues, but not your disability issues, right? And if you're with the disability group, they want you to talk about your disability issues and not your LGBT. And they're all the same issues. They're all about being marginalized, being demeaned, being lacked, being presented with barriers, either attitudinal or physical, So I really feel like the movements are really connected, and that, again, the people that pretend that they don't have any differences are masking. They're a bunch of fucking liars that are filling their own head with this facade that they are somehow better than and perfect. And these are the people that are money hungry, grubbing, can't get enough because they're not comfortable with who they are, right? And that would be our entire fucking administration and both sides, right? Power hungry, keep my position because that's my identity, because they're actually afraid of who they are. They actually feel so less than.
It's like, to them, they're cutting of, the lower fruit on the tree, You're down here. You don't need much. We can cut funding for you for Medicare, for Medicaid, curb cutouts or any other thing that's going to provide more accessibility and to allow us to be more independent and out and about. It's like, no, this is about preserving my human rights. Exactly.
Right? It's not their friends, their neighbors. It's not them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's cut the benefits for the people I don't know.
Well, and let's cut them because that's not me. Except deep down inside, it is you, right? Like,
absolutely,
right? And so that fear, and Mickie made a comment like, doesn't every life matter? It does. Every life does matter, but Black lives are more likely to be shot and killed, incarcerated, face barriers, and inequitable opportunities. I mean, literally end up in prison much more often than the rest of the population. So when the Black Lives Matter comes out, it's like, we have to be aware that these inherent biases in society are killing people of color more than they are anybody else. And they're not saying other lives don't matter, but they are saying our lives matter too. Like, look at our, and the same thing with these programs.
The purpose is to bring awareness, of these Pride months, to bring awareness to this particular population that they don't have equal rights. They don't share in what a lot of other populations get to be out. So if, you're out there and you're woohoo, hip, with your flags and you're having fun and you're just letting people know, we're here, we are a huge group that can, change things if people understand that we are not being treated equally. So, to disability.
It's like being brown in LA right now.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
I was almost going to say it, but I'm like, okay.
No, but it's true. If you how much disability are people of color experiencing in LA right now? They can't leave their houses, right? They're canceling 4th of July events for fear. That is disabling. Society is disabling people of color massively right now with these barriers and these fears. And so these pride movements are about, we are people. We do not need to have you continue to block us with your shitty attitudes and your lack of funding, and you're continuing throwing more barriers to keep us from living fully. If you see us as people, you will create
racism.
Evidence. Oh, it's blatant. I mean, it's you say it's not racism. I'm not worried.
Oh my
I can go to any event. Nobody's going to throw me in anywhere.
Yeah.
But I have friends that are worried. I have students that are worried. I have if not for themselves, for their families. Kids afraid to go to school because they got to come home and mom and dad will be gone. Whether they're here without documentation or they have documentation, even if you have documentation, it doesn't stop you from, right? And in some ways, I think having a disability, like a very visible one, might keep ICE away from you, from grabbing you, because they don't have accessible vans, so they can't just put you in their car.
Well, right? If you go back to Hitler, we're next on the list.
Oh, we're already on the list. Legislative eugenics.
Yeah.
Legislative eugenics are happening right now, and legislative eugenics are wiping out opportunities for people to live and thrive by cutting benefits and programs that support them. And we are doing that. Well, we aren't, but the legislative beings are. And I'm not just saying the current right-wing administration, because Newsom is talking about doing it too, right? So it is any people in power that want to limit the support systems for people who are impoverished, people who are marginalized, people who have disabilities. we will keep them in their homes out of society, and hopefully they'll just die off, right, without the proper care, and then they're just gone, and we don't actually have to build the gas chambers, because y'all know the gas chambers were built by testing them on people with disabilities.
Yeah.
That's how they were done. So they tried other ways to kill the people with disabilities, especially those with psychological impairments. And then they found out that they could kill the most efficiently with the gas chambers, right?
Most at one time.
The most at one time. And so that's, you know, it is so incredibly frustrating that, you know, we're seeing this happen in a time when, like, these baby boomers, they're all experiencing impairments in their physical, cognitive functioning. There's not, you know, even the most wealthy, right? Sight impairments, hearing impairments. We haven't, you know, we've got glasses to fix some of them. We got iPods that will amplify speech to fix others, but there's still impairments, and they're so afraid. I really feel like they're afraid of their own mortality, and to identify that they are human with flaws, and you know, and if we don't get together.
There's one group on Facebook that takes pictures, close-up pictures of Trump, and goes, okay, you can see where his depends are. Okay, there's his leg bag. You can see his condom cath right there in this shot, and it's this close, right, to his leg, and it just cracks me up every time. I think, well, this person needs to get a hobby.
And forget the obvious brain impairments, okay? That's just...
Exactly.
You can't hide that.
Apparently there's bathroom issues as well.
Sorry, and if we're offending people that have different political beliefs, we apologize, but this is our show, so we can say what the fuck we want.
That's right.
And Black Olive, there, you know, we do see how are marginalized groups targeted. How are the systems designed to make you fail so that you don't get that? And I have to, you know, Angry Quad, I will just say, Medi-Cal paid for my chair. Like, you know, if I didn't have Medi-Cal and I had to get the insurance through my job, I would not get the equipment that I get, right? So, you know, I'll just tell you right now, I'm stockpiling catheters, right? Medi-Cal pays for my catheter every month, and I'm stockpiling them because my fear is that if I get cut, it'll cost me $6 a day to pee. Right. If I have to go and pay for my catheters, it's $180 a month just to pee. And if I don't pee that often, am I going to get an infection? Is that infection going to kill me? Right. This is how these cuts lead to eugenics. And so for a lot of people, healthcare is key to success. Right.
Yeah.
And Medi-Cal doesn't cover dental yet. And bad teeth can lead to over 200 different diseases, heart disease, problems with cognition, everything. And we don't cover that. And I really feel like, you know, the more we cut these systems, the more we are marginalizing populations that are already marginalized, that already experience issues. And the hope is, I really believe, shutter them in nursing homes that are going to lose their funding, so they're overloaded, and just warehouse them until they die.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't too long ago where people with disabilities were institutionalized, you know, just here. Right. Throw them all over here. Nobody has to see them. Nobody has to deal with them. We don't have to provide any rights or accessibility for them. They're housed. They're, you know, they're not part of our communities, which is not so. And then you think about now the decreasing birth rates that continue to fall lower and lower. We are going to be an elderly society, you know? So yeah, we're all going up there. We're all going to be there at one time. And you think you don't need curb cutouts, and you think you don't need special accommodations? Well, the day will come when you do need them.
Yeah, even like the greatest athletes that break an ankle or a leg, right? Right? They're trying to grapple with the fact that their body isn't working the same. And if they were able to get in and out of their homes and go to the bathroom because it was all accessible, that shift, even temporary, wouldn't be it. And I'm sorry that the Angry Quad is out, and I will continue to bring up Hitler because it's real. It started, and we are seeing similar things happening now. And if we don't learn from history, I truly believe we are bound to repeat it. And, you know, that's just my opinion. Again, y'all have your own opinions, and I appreciate you contradicting us and telling us.
Hey, women are back in the 70s right now. You know, all the things that were accomplished through women's rights groups, and, you know, and all of that. It's like, wow, our right to live our lives and make decisions for ourselves has been taken. So it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you go back and look at Iran in the 70s, what women were able to wear, what women were able to do. And people say this will never happen, right? You go Google it. Don't take my word for it. Because I remember the 70s and being very like, wow, look at that. And now, I mean, you can't go to school. You can be beaten to death if your burqa's not on right. And, and I have students that talk about this. So if we don't think these things can backslide by ignoring history or thinking that was the past, then I think we do ourselves a disservice.
Yeah.
And I think that is where pride comes from, the continuing connection and cooperation with all other groups that experience marginalization to create change for everybody, right? So, I mean, Muraski from Alaska, I have so little respect for her. I used to respect her so much, but as soon as they sweetened the pot and said, well, we'll carve out these for your state.
For
She's
your
like,
state only.
For your state only, I'll do it. So there's this, I think we make marginalized group feel like there's only so much of the pie, and if you don't get your piece, you're not going to get any, as opposed to if we all work together, we all get the pie.
So
the
we
whole
all
pie.
get a little piece, exactly.
Right, we all get
and
it.
That's
so
the thing.
That's my feeling.
Going back to
because
the
if we all work
here.
together, we have too much power, and that's scary. So the divisiveness is a very old tactic with leaders.
Absolutely.
And as you said, Ellen, if we don't remember our history, we're doomed to repeat it. And totalitarianism is something that has brought down so many civilizations.
Absolutely.
By marginalizing and making the rich richer and the poor poorer, your civilization will go away. But people don't remember that.
Right. And I think the first groups to go are those that they think cost the most, which is people with disabilities. Yes, it costs more. It cost me $6 a fucking day to pee. Right. Most people don't have to pay to pee every day. Right. So if we could save $6 a day, let's say, having a disability, a physical impairment, a psychological impairment, it costs more to live. That is just a bottom line fact, because the world isn't accessible. Car adaptations cost more. You need, more support. You need this. It costs more for people with predominantly, not every single one. This is my viewpoint. I'm not speaking for everybody out there. But my belief is that having a physical impairment, psychological impairment, emotional impairment costs more money and time. So if the whole point is to help the rich get richer, who are the first people they're going to cut off? Those they feel that drain from the system. As Hitler said, and I will say his name again, useless eaters, right? They don't contribute as much as they cost. Why are we keeping them? And, that's why being proud of who you are and demanding not only a place at the table, but that your voice be heard and that you bring other people is so important. And that's why I believe in these Pride Months, right? Opportunities to hear the stories from people and see them as people, and to connect with people and to understand them, and to understand we're not all wishing we were dead, right? Because that's what the population, well, you really just wish you were dead anyway. Isn't that it?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Thank you, $1 million baby.
Yeah.
There you
go. $6 a day versus treating a UTI, which would be an E of our visit, except that now they're cutting those. And how long do you have to wait in the ER? And you die from sepsis because you've been in the ER for a day and a half, and they don't see you because they've got every individual who has ever been on Medi-Cal at that hospital, because all the rural hospitals closed, right? So it's not just people with disabilities, it's people in poverty, which are predominantly people of color, people with disability. Like, I don't know. I watch this every day and I get frustrated. And then I think, man, I am like the privilege I get to experience in my own life, even having a disability, is amazing to what other people have to go through, right? Like, I have access to these services. I know how to get the services, and a lot of people that need them and know, and they're just going to make it more complicated.
Yeah.
Right. So I can sit there and figure out that I got to turn this in and save that receipt and do this and do that. And I come with that cultural competence. My mom was able
to do
give
that.
me
Yeah.
that, right?
Good.
Other people don't have that, and they're missing a receipt, and the people send it right back to them. And they're like, after the 5th time, they're like, fuck it, right? And then they don't get the services they deserve. So,
yeah.
And
there they go. They save money because you went away.
There
are about all that is, how is this saving money if now people have to do this more? We've got to hire more people in order to follow up with all this new documentation that will be. So how is that saving money?
AI.
Yeah.
AI will do the documentation. And it will
plus
just
you
be
fired half of the workforce.
It'll just be rejected if there's any misstep. And then you got to refile it, and refile it, until you finally get a person to look at it who will be like, oh, right. I mean, it's going to be that. Yeah. I mean, and Nicole's right. Basically, there are politicians that have literally said that in America, that keeping a quad alive is not worth the money. Like, people have said that. Donald Trump actually said that about his nephew. He literally said, well, maybe, someone like him, it just costs too much to keep him alive, and is it worth it? That is the belief, right?
They've said that about seniors too.
Yeah, right? Let's go to Logan's Run at 54. We're going to put you in a little room, show all your pictures of your life, and stream a little gas in there while you go off La La Land. I mean, these are not new ideas. In Japan, there have been politicians in Japan that have floated it because the elderly population is getting so big. Like, maybe you should take the burden off the population and commit suicide. And like, I am a big fan of choice, like, assisted death, if that's what you choose, and the places that you can have it, right? But it's getting easier to do that. Now it's, like in Canada, it's not a terminal illness that you can then choose to have an assisted death. Like, it could be bipolar disorder, and you could just go in and they'd be like, well, we could give you these pills and you would just slip out, right? And if somebody had offered me that when I was first injured in the hospital, you'll never be able to really do this or that, and reinforced all those biases that were in my head from being indoctrinated by media. Here's some pills. I would have taken them. I mean, I tried to kill myself twice after my injury. Once passively by refusing surgery, and the second time actively by taking drugs, right? And how many unconscious attempts did I do by doing stupid stuff? Like, I can't even, that's a big can of worms, right? Because society, basically, the message that I had at 18 was, you're disabled. Those are one of those people. Your life is not going to be worthy of living. You'll never get married, never have kids, never have a job, never have a full life. Yeah. Well, if that's what everybody tells you, and then you find yourself in that situation, you're like, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's true, right? Yeah.
Give me that. Yeah, give me those pills. Well, I mean, that stupid movie, what was it? Me Before You? Which really,
Oh, yeah.
Handsome, rich, gorgeous guy ends up in a chair and then finds love and then still chooses to kill himself so he's not a burden anymore. I mean, that's the shit that we are fed about disability. So we are filtering that and finding, like, fuck you. I'm proud to be who I am, and I think we should celebrate that.
Absolutely. All right. Now, just a quick thing. I don't know. I haven't heard of the deadline for the cuts. I mean, is it immediate, or is it something that will eventually just kind of be, all those cuts will be rolled out? And
they're being rolled out. So if there is voting again, which I don't know, there'll be some national emergency, and and then there'll be a suspension of voting. That's just, but yes, the cuts will be rolled out. And if the administration changes or the House changes or things shift, they're going to come into fruition, probably in another administration, who will then get blamed for all of this shit.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because people don't want to look at history. They want to, like, why are we talking about that? So,
no, it wasn't him. It's you.
I don't remember which choice it was, but one of them was due to be implemented entirely by 2034. So as Ellen says, it's not immediate for some of them, but I don't remember which aspect.
But the paperwork of every 6 months, oh my God, the yearly is like such a, then you got to go back and forth and then get denied. And then you got to go back and show them other paperwork and find the laws. And like, again, you are so right, Julienne. More work. And that costs more when you could be 5-year check-ins or, whatever. Just provide support without, until I'm making $200,000
and you
a
figure
year.
after so many years, we're not going to get better. We're unfortunately start to decline again, as time goes by. So it's like, okay, you're having to go, jump through all their hoops and everything to continue to prove you're disabled and what your needs are and all of that. And it's like, okay.
And can it be like placards where your doctor can fill it out saying they're disabled and they're not going to get better? Or, you get a red placard that says, well, they're disabled for now. Check in with us in 6 months.
Exactly.
That would make sense.
But its problem is that, disability is defined differently, right? Social Security, it's defined by how much you make. Placards are defined how well you move.
Your physical needs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, and just come up with one definition. Let's simplify.
I was going to say, yeah. And it's like, we know that Medi-Cal and Medicare aren't ideal, that, half the time they pay crap for things that you need. But think about having to pay for all those things out of pocket every month. As Alan said, it takes how much? To pee every day,
each catheter, because I had to look to buy them somewhere because I was like traveling and I didn't have them. I'm like, how do I get them?
It's like it all adds up.
$1.50 a piece, and I generally cath 4 times a day, so that's $6 a day. Now that's before who knows if they're going to go up, go, whatever. $6 a day to pee, and that's not including pads that I wear, and you have to change. You can't keep wearing the same freaking pad. Just in case there's an accident. So how much are those? That's another $20, $40 a month. And then bowel care. Do you have to take medications for the bowel or pain meds? Like living with an impairment, as you all know out there, right? As you all know out there, living with an impairment is expensive. Right? Tires for your wheelchair. It ain't cheap to buy a new tire if it pops. And then you got to go get somebody to put it on and pay for that. Right? So you have to have that. You have to have the cushions and they have to keep them up. I mean, it's just more money. Yes. But with the right supports, we can do amazing things, right? We can go out there and make a difference in other people's lives and start foundations like the Triumph Foundation and go out there and create inclusion for kids so that it is just part of the system and not a separated, segregated thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never talked to anybody. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I was going to say, and they say we don't work, right? We are working to stay alive. We're working for our independence and our freedom. And it's like, it's getting harder and harder,
I've never met anybody with a disability who could work, who said, no, I just don't want to. I just don't feel like it,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody wants to work, but the fear is if you start to work, you'll lose your benefits, and you can't live without your benefits, right? You can't live without the support systems. So it is a system that is designed to keep you down, because if you're out there working, you're out there advocating simply by being out there.
Exactly.
Right? Without even being, you're just doing it. And then you ask for like, hey, can you make that bathroom bigger? And they're like, oh, fuck, now we're going to make that bathroom bigger. Whereas if you're stuck at home and you're out there asking for stuff, we don't have to give you stuff. So like the system is designed to keep you
home.
Out of society so they don't have to accommodate. Whereas with the right supports, we see the diversity of human nature and we build for it and we create for it. And then everybody can participate, right? And some people like telehealth, right? Why can't why can't I work from home because I can't get to the office because I need to be laying down because of a bed sore? Why isn't that an option, right? No, you do that twice and you could lose your job.
Absolutely.
And just think about how great all of our kids are, because they grew up with somebody they loved with a disability, and how much more, I don't know, deeper, more sensitive people they are. It's impressive. I'm glad you didn't kill yourself at 18, Ellen.
Right.
I am too.
You've been a good influence, and
we need you. We need you, Ellen. Absolutely.
No plans. And I am fortunate to be in a career where I get to work with 50 students a semester and watch them evolve as they begin to acknowledge their own impairments, whether it's visible, ADHD, impairments of their family members, and to want to go out there and then continue to make a difference. I mean, that is incredible.
I want to take your class now, Ellen.
Come take my class. You can come sit in anytime. I will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 2:15. We'll make room for you. And if you want to come speak to my class about your lived experiences, please contact me. And my students would love to have all y'all in there and to meet you and hear your stories, because they get mine and they get a few other people. I'm hoping Nicole is going to come and speak to my classes. We've already chatted about it because their experience is very different than my experience. And
yes.
Andrew comes, and we had a couple of other people, and I'm flaking on his name. Young Black person in spinal cord injury, Walter has spoken, and it's awesome for my students just because every story is different, and so they have to see that every individual disability is an individual, that we're not the other, we're just us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time we wrap up. We've made our hour.
No, thank you for sharing so much information, Ellen. It just wow. I learn from you every day. Everybody. It's just absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the work that you do and giving these students, the support and the knowledge that they need to live their best lives in spite of their disabilities, and being aware of your rights and the laws and what you're entitled to and what you deserve. Kudos to you. Woo-hoo.
Woo, and I appreciate absolutely all your comments out there. Thank you all so much. We love when you challenge us, when you have your own views. We absolutely respect it, and you can tell us to go F off. We don't take it personal anymore. No. Too many years in the chair, right?
Yeah, right. They can't knock us down.
If they do, we'll get up again with the help of some other folks. So
there you go.
Unless you're at Walmart, New Jersey, then they won't help you.
Oh God. Okay.
All right, our sponsors, our fabulous sponsors, mobility professionals, urology professionals, Don Woods and his whole crowd there. Thank you so much for everything you do for us and for our entire community. And we will be back next month, first Thursday of the month at 3:30, right?
Yes, absolutely. Send us show ideas. Thank you so much.
Oh, there's the picture of baby Bobby.
Oh,
baby
my God.
Bobby. There's baby Bobby.
And baby Julienne, my goodness,
and
girl.
Baby Julienne.
Oh, my goodness. You are babies there.
Yeah.
At Michelle's house, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was the Christmas party, right?
At my house, yeah. All right.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Get out there and spread awareness and be you and enjoy your 4th of July. All right.
Yes.
Be grateful for the freedom that we have and the independence we're able to work for as people with disabilities.
Yes.
They're not going to stop us.
Not yet. No. We'll just roll right over them. All right.
There you
go. Have a great holiday weekend.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.